welcome to another episode of Pedagogy Pods.
Hi, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us back. Meenakshi, last time we had a very interesting conversation, didn't we?
Yes.
We talked about inquiry-based
I think
learning.
audience might be remembering, and we got some kind of response also from the audience.
Yes.
And now we are going to take it ahead.
Absolutely.
Because
but which direction do we go?
I was thinking last time we had many questions, and we were talking about how to structure those questions.
Oh yes, that. You know
because
what?
that is very important to take it into a direction where the teacher want to take it. That there the I think role of teacher comes there.
Yeah, I think also to stay in control, as we say, how do you manage that class? I wouldn't call it control, but I would definitely say, how do you manage your class in this? And you know what I call it, Meenakshi? I call it's a method in madness. Because
method in
madness.
Madness.
Yes.
Okay, that's quite interesting.
You know why? Because when you start asking questions, they go in every direction. And then with those 20,
which
30,
we saw
40
in last
students,
one,
yeah.
we were going into many directions.
And it was just two of us talking.
Yes,
and
there was a class of
30 or 40 students with you.
Yes.
How do you manage
it's a madness,
this? That's why I call it madness. Well, yes, there is a method in madness, that is. Like I said, last time also, have time for free flowing of thoughts. Give it time. But when I say time, limit that time. Because you cannot just spend all of your 40 minutes, even the students will get exhausted, the questions will get exhausted. With time and experience, you will learn that there is a certain time that you can allocate to initiate inquiry. So that's the stage where we was at the initiating inquiry stage. After that, you gather those thoughts and you have a structure to it. Now, this will not come on day 1, day 2. It takes time, and you do find that method. And there are beautiful inquiry cycles to actually support your learning. So one of the inquiry cycles that we used and I totally believe in is Kath Murdoch's inquiry cycle. Okay. Absolutely love the stages. But I believe those are something that you can rely on, and you need to be ready for it because there are different stages to it. And then you get stuck or hung up in those cycles. So what I would say is, look at those cycles, understand those cycles, and find your own way first.
Yeah, that is really, I think, it is needed because we want to simplify this.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be overwhelming for you.
Yeah, overwhelming.
It should be very organic. Like in my class, I want to bring in inquiry. I've taken all your questions, but I can't process and observe and also translate it in my class right now. It's okay for you to sit on them for that day. You carry on with the way you wanted to teach. You carry on with what was on your mind. Go back. Take those questions. Divide those questions into boxes, categories. Like I said, unit related inquiries, subject related inquiries.
I'm able to make a picture when you're saying this. I'm able to picturize this, that there are some boxes and we are putting these questions into those boxes. That is so interesting.
Yeah, and that actually simplifies your life, right? So unit based questions, subject based questions, and independent inquiries. Keep your unit based questions with yourself. Give those subject related questions to the subject teachers who are teaching. For example, remember you said, looking at this, I want to write a poem. You are a Hindi language teacher. I would request you, you know what, I'm doing something on plants, or my students are interested in writing a poem. Why don't you take it up in your class? And her first response will not be, no, I have my own, agendas. Her response will be, really? Are they interested in poetry?
If they are doing so much about that plant, they already have those thoughts in mind and they will be able to create it more beautifully.
Yeah. And then even if this is a previously learned concept, you will want to bring it here and say, I'm giving you time. Go ahead, let's create a poetry about it.
And we can always help them with the rhyming words. We can ask them only rhyming words actually.
Exactly. So you see where it starts? It's so contagious that it just doesn't contain to my class. It gets into your class too. Yeah? You're making a special place for that inquiry to be addressed.
Yes.
So let's say a child comes to you and says, ma'am, we want to write a poetry about this plant that we saw in our class today. Okay, you bring that plant is still on teacher's table. What are you going to do about it?
I will ask them that please find out the words, because words are most important when you write something. Words are the most important thing. So they will write some collection of words will come, and then I'll give them those words, and I'll ask them to make use some rhyming words from that. Take some rhyming words from them, and it may be non-rhyming also.
Absolutely.
So I will give them freedom of choice of that. Ki, whatever they want to write, choose some rhyming words, or if they want to write a 4 lines about that or 8 lines about that, and these things I will.
If I were to say, that's absolutely wonderful a plan. You know what she's doing? She's giving them place to think.
Mm-hmm.
She's allowing them to collect those words, but also giving directions.
Mm.
Now that you have your words, think of rhyming words to go with that.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe she could give a sentence starter or a line starter as the first line of the poem, and then ask them to carry on.
Because it depends on actually which class I'm teaching.
Yeah.
Maybe small students, I will give them only fill in the blanks or something like that regarding from that plant I have given them, and they will fill in the blanks. But in senior classes, they can do it themselves also.
There you go. That's how ideas pop up, and that's how these are the healthy discussions we need to have with each other to take them not just in my class but other classes as well. Even if you don't have time to sit and think, just a simple corridor conversation like this.
Yes, that is most important, Meenakshi, because when we two are talking, we have so many ideas. If I would have been sitting alone, I think I don't have these ideas.
Yeah.
I am giving inputs to you, you are giving inputs to me, and there are then 2 people.
Yeah.
And there are 5 people, 6 people you can talk to and make a beautiful lesson plan.
And this is not a structured conversation. Believe you me, nothing is built up over here.
Nothing.
We are literally talking off our head.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I'm going to talk about or invite her into, what are you going to do in your poetry class. So what I'm trying to say is, stay organic.
Okay.
Try and not really make it very, very formal till you're comfortable. Play with it. Don't have any fears. What are we losing out of doing what we are doing right now? Right? Yeah. So be willing to step forward to do this.
Actually, what happened in this teaching practice, we are very much used to mostly making plans which are teacher led.
Yes.
Now we need to change it, seeing the timings, seeing the students, their queries, and the work fields and everywhere. We need to make these kind of plans where there will be the thinkers.
Absolutely. And we need to place our trust in their thinking. That they can think, they can find out on their own.
And the changes will not come in one day.
Definitely.
Every day we need to make efforts.
Yeah. And I would say before you declare that, I'm going to go inquiry way.
Yeah, there's no need to declare, I think.
There is no need. Just play with it. Just be with it. Flow with it. Be comfortable. Go wrong if you have to. Correct it.
Correct it.
Because unless you actually waste time, you will not be able to utilize it properly. You'll not know how to structure it properly.
And in between, you can take guidance from people who have already done it.
Absolutely. Like I said, there are Cat Murdoch cycles, there are other learning cycles that are there. There are thousands of blogs that have been written about.
Today we have so much facilities.
Yeah, you have so many reference points.
Just go into it, but don't go into this thing into it. Just take it, just read it and imbibe it into yourself, and then come up with your own this thing.
That's most important. Your inquiry is your own. No other teacher in any part of the world.
Your own. Your students are your this thing.
Yeah.
And where it takes you is also another.
It's up to you. It's up to your students. Even when you're teaching 2 sections, the inquiry is going to be different.
Yeah.
So while we were structuring this, now that I have the question structured, what next? The next step is that I give it back to the students to find out.
Oh.
So generally in classes, what we do is we form those questions, make a worksheet and give it to all the students.
Okay.
Put them in groups, but all groups are answering the same questions. Now this is where the change comes in.
Okay.
What I would say is have about 5 to 6 groups in the class. Give a different set of questions. So while you are making clusters of questions, have your learning objectives defined. Break it into parts, give it to different groups, and if you don't have enough questions, 2 groups or 3 groups can have same set of questions, but not every group should have same questions.
Okay.
Because these are building blocks being built in different groups. And once they have found out and you have confirmed their knowledge or understanding, whatever they have gained, you can then ask them to present to each other and learn from each other.
So good.
You see what I'm doing over here?
Yes.
I'm facilitating learning. I'm not leading
You
learning.
are a facilitator.
I'm a facilitator in the true sense.
Yes.
So if they were in your class and they were writing in, the poetry, what you're doing over here is facilitating their writing piece.
Writing piece, yeah. I'm not providing them with everything. I'm asking them to find out words, use them in a poetry form, or maybe I can give some example first and then I can ask them to write the poetry.
That's another beautiful one. You know, what we do is we put up anchor charts in our classroom. Those anchor charts will carry exemplars of, what this writing could be like, what a poem could look like. So all of a sudden you ask students to write a poem, obviously they're going to go blank. So
Yes.
you either pick up a poem out of their textbook
Mm.
or bring them a poem, let's say on plants, while we were talking about plants, and present it to them.
Yep.
And that gives them ideas.
Them ideas, and it will be simple for them.
Yeah,
They can think in those lines.
Absolutely. So what we're trying to do here is structure. So once they have presented to each other, collated, they have formed a new understanding. This is the time when they bring in the knowledge from different classrooms. Now remember, they were in my science classroom where they had picked up an object to inquire. Now I give them an opportunity to choose any medium of their choice to convey understanding or to tell me what have they understood, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're using Hindi poetry as a medium, and I accept that because I'm giving them a choice to either do it in poetry or answer the questions.
Maybe they do it in the form of painting.
Absolutely, it
Or
could be a painting.
some small drawing.
It could be. What else? Do you come up with more mediums?
Yeah, many. In fact, they can do it in English literature also in a form of creative writing,
Right.
and they can do it in science. They can do it in maths.
They could
there
also
are
do
many
a role play.
role play. Yeah, that
Dramatics.
is.
They're very good at
maybe,
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, they would just write a whole script about it.
And
And now, what we are doing over here is we're giving them a choice to convey their understanding. Not just a written question answer, but giving them medium to express. Their expression is most important because all we need to know at the end of the day is that they have learned something out of this one.
and all teachers are working on the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a common goal in mind, but we are coming in from many directions. Math teachers' inputs, language teachers' inputs, science teachers'
But
inputs.
Meenakshi, I have a question. Do you have some meetings before that?
You know
Teacher
what?
meetings?
Very valid question. Initially, like I said, when you're playing with it, you can be casual about it. But somewhere down the line, you need to be intentional about it.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, please allocate some time with the subject teachers to sit down and intentionally have those interdisciplinary links within your unit. Find places. Maybe you have
That is important.
Yeah,
Because how do you go by then? Otherwise,
Exactly.
if you don't have.
So you know what? In textbooks, you have these chapters given in, let's say, Hindi textbook.
Yes.
No one has asked you to follow that sequence. So if I can request you that if you have something on plants,
read it
any
to
chapter,
students,
any poem, can you do it at a time while I'm dealing with this?
Yes.
Or I tweak my subject into teaching plants while you are teaching that.
So that will be an add-on in my subject also. That won't be a burden on my subjects. That will be add-on.
Exactly. It's just an adjustment that you make.
Adjustment, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's just that, instead of teaching this in the month of, let's say, November, I'm going to bring it up in the month of July when it's raining. You're talking about plants. We can talk about, we can bring in social sciences here, the weather, the temperature, do they grow better? And you can actually look at, nature in its full swing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then write.
And we always think about poetry then the Mosam is to this thing good,
Exactly.
and we want to write them some poetry about the weather,
Absolutely.
plants and beauty of the plants.
Absolutely.
So it is an add-on.
Yeah. And in mathematics, the teacher could be measuring the growth. Does it increase or decrease during monsoons or during rains? The social science teacher can talk about changes in weather. The kind of changes that come around, not just for plants, but us, animals, and the surroundings, the whole feel of the whole place. So there are multiple things that we can do if we have intentionally planned an inquiry.
Yeah, planning plays most
Absolutely.
important part. Still, it is.
Yeah, I think if you are planned in a manner to run the inquiry the way you intend to,
Yes.
it's going to be very smooth. And your learning objectives will be much
Planning is not the planning kind of as writing the words, writing the inquiry. No, I think it's a basic structure.
Exactly. You said it absolutely right. is a structure that needs to come into place.
That needs to come in place.
And there has to be fluidity. See, if you're not fluid with it, your students might come up with questions that are not directly related to your learning objectives. You can't negate those. You have to deal with those.
So it's a balance between both.
Definitely a balance. And maybe, in some of the subjects, your inquiry will not be as strong as in another. I'll give you an example. Okay, you ask me a question. You give me any random inquiry to take up.
I'll ask you a question about. I think these days we have a very prominent problem. There's so much pollution outside.
Oh yes.
And everyone is thinking about that. There are so many questions pondering into the brains of everybody, even students, everybody. So let us take that as an example. If I teach in my subject, what questions? How do we do? What I thought about is. I took a picture of this polluted environment in front of students, and I'll put that picture in my class. And I want to explain it. How do we go from here? They are coming up with the questions. So can you please
how do you
explain
start inquiry over there, right? A beautiful thing. You know what? A problem that is everybody's problem is nobody's problem too. So I'm so glad that you have taken this up in your Hindi class to actually discuss this as a problem. So now you've put up a picture. What do you see in that picture?
I see so much of cloud, kind of hazy, many cars moving on the road. It's picture shows that it's Delhi. It is very obvious from the structures and the back that it is Delhi. So it's all covered with haze, and it's looking very smoggy.
Yeah. Now that's a very negative picture to paint. Now the first thing is you need to bring to attention to students and make it a little more lighter or positive.
Okay.
And draw their attention to other things in the picture. For example, Meenakshi said, I think it is Delhi because of the kind of things or the structures that you can see. What structure did you see in the picture?
I think it was India Gate.
Wonderful. Have you ever been to India Gate?
Yes.
What do you like about India Gate?
It's a very old monument. It's a representative of our country, and it's lovely to see. And there's so much of greenery around it.
You know what? Even in this haze, what caught your attention was India Gate, because you take certain pride in looking at it, right? That's something that you're connecting to. Now you see a problem in front of it. What is the biggest problem that you see over there?
That I'm not able to look at the monument so clearly as I used to.
Great. What do you think you can do about it?
I can do many things, not alone, but with the help of our administration, with the help of people, with the help of society. We can do so many things which can clear this.
Wonderful. What all do you see in the picture? You said you saw some cars or other things?
Yeah, many cars.
Yeah, now that is something that we could think about, right? Now you see, what am I doing till now? I'm just turning around and throwing the questions back to her, instigating thoughts, and she's on the move with me. So coming back, you see many cars. You said the administration could do something about it. The administration might be able to help, but can you do something about it? What is it that you think you can do?
I think we may request people or around us to do carpooling.
Okay.
So that there will be less cars on the road.
Okay. What else?
We can write some letters, get it signed by the residents, and put the problems across to our politicians and administrative people.
So you were talking about administration, now you've come to society. Now I want you to come into your own home. Tell me, what is it that you as a person or as a member of this society can do to contribute to this?
One thing I can do is not to burn crackers in the valley, right? And I will again. I told you that I will love to do carpooling.
Okay, carpooling. What do you think should be your first step towards carpooling? How many members are there in your home?
4 members are there.
What do you think you will do apart from yourself to ensure that others also contribute to their own thoughts? Not just your thought, but their thought.
I can ask people around to take one car one day, and I can take my car another day. And 4 people can go into one car to same school or same office.
Absolutely. Maybe you could even ask them what is it that they want to do to help reducing pollution?
Okay.
What do you think? How do you think you are going to do that?
Maybe I will ask them these questions about what is happening and how can we reduce the pollution as a society, what can we do, maybe
Maybe as a person, what is it that they want to do? Now you're the one who wants to do carpooling. Maybe they have more ideas.
more ideas, so we
Yeah.
can compile the ideas as a
I like the word compile. Maybe you could have a survey of things we can do to help pollution. Yeah? Yeah, help reduce pollution.
Yep.
Something like that. Now you see, this was a Hindi teacher. She has used one image. See how far this has gone. It has transcended into social sciences, environmental sciences. It has also gone into mathematics by doing surveys, finding out solutions. This is exactly what we are talking about. Blurring the lines of subject areas, taking it from just about one random picture to making a complete inquiry about it. Now,
that is really, really something I'm looking forward to implying in the classrooms.
Absolutely. So it starts from a language class. The language teacher brings in picture composition, right? And she could ask students.
Maybe some news clip.
Maybe some news clip. There you go. More ideas, right? So many things to actually initiate that whole thought and provoke thinking into students, ignite thinking.
Ignite thinking.
Yeah. And then putting it on paper. Write what you see. Like she said, that the way I have driven her into drawing these ideas. There are many ideas, right? There are many solutions. Now, I'm
initially when you were asking questions, I was little taken aback. What shall I answer? But then it keeps coming one after other. It's a chain.
That's the role of a facilitator. The minute she I see her getting stuck, or
yes,
she's not able to build on thoughts, I lend a thought. Yeah. So the minute you lend a thought, it can actually start building up.
You asked another question.
Yeah.
To bring more questions, more answers.
Exactly.
You just led me into that.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Lend questions.
And I love that when I talked about the picture and you told me that you can talk something positive first.
Yeah.
First you talk about that monument. First you talk about the beauty of Delhi. First you talk about how it is the capital of India. What is the beauty of that? So we talked about positive things, and then we have taken it to that issue which is happening. So taking positive to the problem.
Additionally, I would say you actually got it absolutely right. Positivity towards a problem is very important. Secondly, making connections.
Making connections, very important, yes.
What do you like in that picture? Are you just worried about the haze? Or are you even worried about the environment? Do you have a connect with that? Do you even understand where this is happening?
Where this is happening, yes.
And why should you be worried about it?
And we can then pose another questions, that is it happening only in Delhi? Or in neighboring areas also? Or in small cities or in big cities only? So we can take it forward like that. And maybe other countries
building
also.
up inquiries. I'm loving it.
I'm loving it too.
Yeah. See, that I'm telling you, it is so contagious.
Yes, it is.
And you can actually go in many directions. That's why I say, have time for free thinking. It's important. Have a limited time. So from here, I'm going to direct her into groups. Now I have many questions. Now my groups are going to take those questions and answer different questions. I can invite them to choose a question on their own as a group, and one question I will assign. So now they are answering two questions. One which actually connects with them as a group or as a person. Number two, which connects to my learning objectives and learning outcomes. So I'm allowing both to come together and form that inquiry to go in a manner that I want to within the time that I have.
Another question coming to my mind is, Meenakshi, do we involve research in that?
Yes.
To get more information, to get more concrete figures, to get them going. So do we involve research in this method also?
Absolutely. See, research could be anything. Research could be that survey that you were trying to take is also a research, right? You could be referring to websites, you could be referring to books, you could be referring to people. There are various, elements from where you can do your research.
Because we always want to extend the knowledge also.
Absolutely. And in another episode, we are going to talk about these methods of research and how technology can really help. But you need to have certain tools where you can validate that knowledge. With books, what is important is that books are very important and a good source of information for you.
Yes, that's true.
But which year was that publication made. That's very important.
Maybe then it was not that much of pollution was not there.
Exactly. So reference material is very important. So we're going to talk about this in another episode. And thanks, every time we talk, we come up with another topic for the next one. That's the most beautiful thing. And it's completely organic, I'm telling you. We're just sitting and talking, sitting on our Pedagogy Pods couch and talking, and there are ideas flowing between
I think one day we want to talk about this problem internationally also.
How
do they tackle it? How do they put it in schools? How do they ask their students to think about it?
Do students in every country go online when such problems come?
Yeah.
Do you think these problems?
I think your inquiry-based question method has provoked me to think much.
So is it only in our country or others? Do we take pride in, or are we very embarrassed to say, this happens only here? No, we need to bring in a larger perspective into our classroom. And yes, our next one should be on global mindedness or international mindedness, where we are able to talk about, is it only our problem or is it globally elsewhere as well? Yeah. I think we've had a very wonderful and a productive conversation. Thank you, Meenakshi, for asking those imperative questions, and I hope you would have gained something out of these sessions. And if you have more questions, please do share with us. And for the inquiries that you're posting, we're going to have a separate episode where we are going to talk about just your inquiries. So if we've been able to give you another thought today, share with us in our comments. We would love to bring in. And if you want to be featured in our podcast, you're most welcome. And you can simply just write to us on our email ID, education@thepedagogics.com. We'll be happy to have you on our couch, either virtually or on our couch as you like it, and have you in our podcast.
And I'm quite looking forward to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about you. It's all about
bring newness to our this thing also. We would love to share your experiences.
We'd love to hear your words, your thoughts,
and
your
podcast pods is all about that.
Absolutely. So welcome to our pods anytime that you want. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Meenakshi.
Thank you, Meenakshi, and namaste.
Namaste.